Ladies and gentlemen, agents of info, we are on Infosode 9 Alpha. This one's going to be a live stream, but pretty much like a, how can I say it? A standby live stream. So we're just going to be going over the possible ceasefire that may take place today. Who knows? Maybe not, but we're going to find out. Without further ado, we're going to take, as usual, about a 15 to 20-second break pause before we get into it. Possibly 30-second or way less. Who knows? Anyways, just be well informed. And as I'm sure, as usual, you all are very well informed. Without further ado, we're going to take this quick break. We'll be right back. And as we stated, we will be having a standby live. So with that being said, we're going to check out a few videos going over the ceasefire deal. For now, we're just going to, let's see what we got. So for now, we're going to be looking at a video from CLR Cut. Trump speaking about or going over good chances of possibly ending the war, if any degree, at least a ceasefire. So we're going to go over a video now, take a quick break, not a quick break, probably a standby for a little while, come back with another video, or we might just watch them randomly um, as we go along. But we're going to test this little method out, so not going to be too much talking and video watching, a lot of standing by, just waiting with the pop in every once in a while. So let's get this current video going. Trump pleads with Putin to stop Ukrainian massacre in Kursk. Moscow signals cautious optimism as Trump and Putin align. Power play. Putin makes Trump's fixer wait 8 hours in Moscow. The waiting game. Trump wants to stop Ukraine war, but Americans have no plan. I'm not sure who this is. I'm guessing he's the one who said this.
US President Donald Trump said on March 14th, there is a very good chance the war between Russia and Ukraine can end after Washington had productive discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin on March 13th. Trump added that he had requested that Putin spare the lives of completely surrounded Ukrainian troops, apparently referring to Ukrainian forces being pushed back out of the Kursk region, their only foothold on Russian territory.
We had very good and productive discussions with President Vladimir Putin of Russia yesterday, and there is a very good chance that this horrible, bloody war can finally come to an end. But at this very moment, thousands of Ukrainian troops are completely surrounded by the Russian military and in a very bad and vulnerable position. I have strongly requested to President Putin that their lives be spared. This would be a horrible massacre, one not seen since World War II. God bless them all.
Putin said Russia will guarantee the safety of Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region if they surrender. Russian media quoted Putin as saying,
"I would like to emphasize that if they lay down their arms and surrender, they will be guaranteed life and decent treatment in accordance with the norms of international law and the laws of the Russian Federation."
The Russian president went on to say that Ukrainian authorities should instruct troops in the Russian region, which was invaded by Kyiv last year, to lay down their arms. Putin yesterday claimed that Ukrainian troops in Kursk were encircled and that they had only two choices: surrender or die. Soon after Trump's social media post, the White House clarified that it was US envoy Steve Witkoff who spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin and not US President Donald Trump. Sources in Ukraine and military analysts closely tracking the conflict said Trump's claims of a mass encirclement of Ukrainian troops inside Russia's Kursk region are not accurate. The Ukrainian military said that reports about Ukrainian troops being encircled in Russia's Kursk region are false, and there is no threat of encirclement as their troops were pulled back to more favorable positions. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said early in the day that President Vladimir Putin's position on Ukraine was,
"I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's in. If you
was aligned with US leader Donald Trump, adding there were grounds for cautious optimism following yesterday's visit to Moscow by US envoy Steve Witkoff.
Undoubtedly, there are grounds for cautious optimism. You heard a very important statement from President Putin yesterday when he was responding to a journalist's question. He said that he supports President Trump's position on settlement, but raised some questions that need to be jointly addressed. Therefore, yes, indeed, there is still much to be done, but nonetheless, the president aligned with Mr. Trump's position.
Steve
We're going
Witkoff
to,
spent little more than 12
Go back real quick just to verify what they said right there. Probably about 20 seconds, maybe 30. We'll just go back a little bit. Let's see. All right, let's go.
This question. He said that he supports President Trump's position on settlement, but raised some questions that need to be jointly addressed. Therefore, yes, indeed, there is still much to be done, but nonetheless, the president aligned with Mr. Trump's position.
Steve Witkoff spent little more than 12 hours in Moscow, 8 of them just waiting. Footage shows his motorcade leaving and returning to Vnukovo Airport, with most of his time seemingly wasted. The former property mogul, now Donald Trump's chief negotiator, and often called the president's fixer, was sent to Moscow to deliver Washington's 30-day ceasefire proposal to Vladimir Putin. His visit followed US-Ukraine talks in Saudi Arabia and had been scheduled earlier in the week. But after landing around lunchtime on Thursday, Witkoff was left waiting for hours before finally being called into the Kremlin. Putin was reportedly tied up with a last-minute state visit from Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, announced just a day before. When Kremlin spokesperson Peskov was asked about the meeting, he said,
Regarding Witkoff, he was here yesterday. Late last night, his meeting took place. He was received by President Putin, and additional information was provided to the Russian side. And also through Witkoff, Putin conveyed information and additional signals to President Trump.
Was Lukashenko's visit just a coincidence? Maybe, but it didn't feel like one. It felt like a classic Putin power play. The Kremlin leader doesn't take well to being backed into a corner, especially on his own turf. This looked like a message to Washington. I'm the boss, I set the schedule, and I answer to no one. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said the US still has no plan for Ukraine, questioning Western intentions. He also warned against deception and cites NATO's bombing of Yugoslavia as proof that international law holds no real weight.
The United States still has no plan even regarding Ukraine. Yes, Donald wants to stop the war. Thank him for that. If he's sincere in his concern that people are dying, we need to stop it. Thank you. We favor that. But at the same time, we must firmly stand our ground. No one should push us aside. God forbid, as we say now, deceive us or pull the wool over our eyes. That will not happen. And then remember the NATO bombings of Yugoslavia finally convinced everyone of the true aims of the alliance, as well as in the declared principles of peaceful coexistence by the West. International law in reality is no longer capable of guaranteeing anything. This international law was trampled on in front of everyone.
Lukashenko also claimed he warned Zelensky early in the war about US support fading if a new administration took over. Now he says America demands Ukraine's resources while having no real plan for the conflict.
I looked at this guy, Zelensky. You can't say otherwise about him. We always kept in contact and discussed issues. I had to cut in somewhere during our discussions and prompt him to ask questions. We had a phone call with him in the first days of the war, and I told him, what would happen if everything went like this? That's exactly what I told him. I said a fateful thing to him then. God forbid a new administration comes to America. What's going to happen to you? That's what I told him. And what's happening now? The Americans tell him to give them rare earth metals. But what's my point? Trump said, we're going to dig there. It's going to take place on the border. It's going to be the best defense against Russia. What's he wrong about? Are we going to attack these quarries and other American companies that are going to be operating there? It's hard to say. So you see what their intentions are. We have to look at all their proposals calmly. Well, we will meet with Putin tonight. He met with this American representative yesterday. At least he told me that he is going to meet with him. He will tell me how it was, but I am sure that the Americans have no plan.
Well, excuse me. As you see there, so we got Trump's negotiator, Steve Witkoff, was in Russia, and looks like Putin had him waiting for a good minute. So, as far as exactly if a ceasefire is going to be made today, we don't know yet. But it looks like Putin's man, Dmitry Peskov, it's weird, Steve Witkoff, Dmitry Peskov, was there for Putin, answering and giving statements and stuff. It looks like they want to, but Lukashenko from Belarus was saying that as far as trying to get the peace and ceasefire and the war to stop, he thanks Trump for that. But he doesn't trust what it seems like the EU and NATO or whatnot, and their law and their rules when it comes to war, as he was speaking from previous incidents in the past, not dealing with Russia and Ukraine, but previous wars or conflicts between countries, and negotiations or ceasefires or whatnot being broken and them not doing anything about it, pretty much. So he doesn't have too much faith in the EU or NATO when it comes to that nature. But nonetheless, we're still waiting for official word about the potential ceasefire that may and or may not happen. But as you all know, this is Agents of Info. Be well informed. Um, so right now we're just taking a quick, not a quick, probably a good pause and or break before we go to the next video. I'm going to be looking at news to see if there's any new breaks. It's late at night. It's 7 o'clock p.m. Who knows if anything's going to happen? I'm not sure. But nonetheless, Agents of Info, we're still developing the site, the portal, changing it up. It's eventually going to look different than this, but for now, that's what we have. As you know, so this is the first time actually where we're having a continuation from a previous Infosode. So how we're going to do it for now is if this Infosode is a continuation from a previous one, we'll just have it as a different color and the previous Infosode at the top here. So you can just click this. I'll just right click it because I'm not sure if it goes. And this one was just pretty much going over the, look at it taking forever. We'll go back while it loads. And yeah, so as you know, we got gather information, theories, random info. I'm not sure why this is taking so long to load. But anyways, that's the previous story. I hope I didn't mess it up. We'll get that fixed and check that out. But anyways, so this is 9 alpha. The website address will be down in the description. Best to use a laptop or a PC. Mobile versions in the works. And obviously further features. But, oh, it looks like it's ready. No, okay, there we go. I think my internet is super slow right now. I'm not sure why. But as we know, in the original case of when it comes to the Zelensky-Trump Vance issue, that was the first story we had. And when it comes to trying to create a deal, peace deal, ceasefire, however you want to look at it. And that was the issue when Trump and Zelensky and Vance got into it. Of course, our summary of that was just this right here, as you can see. But that was Infosode 9. We're on 9A. So this is a continuation of this particular story in a sense. So that's how this is going to work. But anyways, we're going to be on standby mode. So we'll see. And just be on the lookout and hear out. If you hear any noises from me, then I am back and ready to either play the next video and or some breaking news, or we're just going to call it quits. But anyways, be well informed. Agents of Info, we're going to go in standby mode, stakeout mode, sloth mode, sleuth mode, however you want to say it. Let's go. I forgot to mention, when the world globe comes up, that's probably because I step away. But usually when we're just in standby mode, I just thought about it. I'll probably just have this screen up right here with the message saying standby mode. We might eventually have some music playing in the background. I'll come in and joke around maybe a little bit. We'll get this all figured out. But for now, we're just taking actually a quick break. So we're going to have the world spinning again. So we'll be back. This might be for a couple minutes. And we are back. I've updated the Infosode portal, and pretty much when we're going to be in standby mode, we're just going to have it like this. Let's go on and watch the next video, though. We'll catch the next video referring to this conflict. This one will be from ABC News Australia, and let's get started.
US President Donald Trump has urged Russia's Vladimir Putin to spare Ukrainian troops being pushed back out of Russia's Kursk region. The plea comes after a lengthy meeting held overnight between US envoy Steve Witkoff and President Putin in Moscow, where the pair discussed bringing an end to the war in Ukraine.
Let's get the latest on this with our America's editor, John Lyons, who's been following developments very closely. John joins us now from Washington. So, John, yes, various demands being canvassed publicly. Where do we sense that these negotiations are up to?
Well, Greg, for the first time, there's actual dialogue going on now. Donald Trump had said that, he wanted those Ukrainian soldiers who look like they've been encircled. These are the Ukrainians took over part of Russia, Kursk, and now the Russians are making a big push on Kursk with both their own Russian forces and reportedly North Korean forces who've come in. They're trying to expel the Ukrainian army from that region of Russia before any sort of sit-down negotiations begin. Now, Donald Trump has said that he thinks there possibly could be a horrible massacre coming up, and he's urged Vladimir Putin to do whatever he can to spare the lives of those Ukrainian soldiers. Now, Vladimir Putin in turn has responded to that and said quite recently, a short time ago, that sure, they can be spared as long as they essentially put down their weapons and surrender. So he's calling for a surrender before they begin a ceasefire talk. So amid all of this, what's really interesting is that there is now this almost daily dialogue between the Ukrainians and the Russians via the US president. So this surely looks like it may be a positive sign. Now, we don't know where this will end, because who knows inside the mind of Vladimir Putin or even Volodymyr Zelensky or Donald Trump for that matter. But this is definitely a change in the dynamic.
Well, indeed. And you've talked about President Putin's demands. What about security guarantees, which Ukraine has been very vocal about pressing on Donald Trump and his administration in particular? Do we have a clearer understanding of what's been agreed between Kyiv and Washington?
Well, for the last couple of weeks, Greg, the Americans have been saying we cannot give a security guarantee. That's why the British and the French have been saying we are prepared to put in troops into Ukraine to try to help enforce any peace that comes from a ceasefire. The Americans have had a de facto security guarantee. They're saying that if we take over some of the rare earths and minerals of Ukraine, in payment for the money we've already spent defending Ukraine, then of course we will want to protect our own assets. That's very much the Donald Trump view of how foreign policy and security guarantees should work. But interestingly, for the first time, he has now said that we will make sure that should there be a ceasefire, that the Russians are not able to then just keep fighting. He said, we'll make sure of that. Now, we don't know what that means. Like a lot of Donald Trump's expressions, they're quite opaque. But clearly now the Ukrainians' number one concern is that what's the point of doing a ceasefire with Russians, because in the past they've never shown good faith in adhering to that. It looks like the Americans are now starting to move a bit more towards Ukraine's position.
All right, not just the Americans either, is it, John? Because we are aware, and you've alluded to the formation or mobilisation of some sort of ill-defined coalition of the willing that will also involve some discussions with Anthony Albanese our time. Do you sense there from Washington that the Trump administration is supportive of this, will acquiesce with some other coalition that could go in to maintain a peace should we get there?
Well, yes, Greg. The Americans are making it absolutely clear under Donald Trump that we will not play this role. But I think increasingly they're almost sort of subcontracting it to others. They keep saying, Donald Trump keeps saying that, look, if others want to do it, the British, the French, and now presumably the Australians as well, according to Anthony Albanese, if the coalition, so-called, wants to get in there and act as peacekeepers, they can do it. Our major concern will be protecting our investments. Now, it's a real shift in US foreign policy here. It's very much under Donald Trump what's in our financial interests. We're seeing that in their trade war with Canada, with Mexico, with the Europeans. And so the new foreign policy of the United States is now very much transactionally based on commercial interests. But I think the Americans would be more than happy to allow and support any coalition, including the Australian government sending troops.
And so there you have it. There you have it, folks. Let me take that off. There we go. So there you have, folks. We're about to go back to standby mode. Just be on the wait. We are still here, ladies and gentlemen. We are still waiting. No new news yet. I think it's probably done for the day, but we're gonna give it another hour or two. Maybe not, but we'll see. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned, folks. Next time we come back, we will be watching the next video that we got lined up. Um, let's go and take a break, and we'll be back. Probably about a couple minute break, so we'll go to the spitting world. All right, so yeah, we're gonna stay in standby mode. We'll watch the next video after the next standby mode or next possible break. But yeah, to stay tuned. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we are still doing the weight game. So we're just going to check out this next video to see exactly. Trying to get exit off of this. It's not letting me. All right. Okay. Now none of my stuff wants to work. Just 1 second. My computer wants to act crazy. I had another window that did not want to close. All right, so let's check out this next video, which will pretty much be by actually let me see who this one is by. This one is by Sky News. Trump still said there's a long way to go for Ukraine and Russia ceasefire. Let's see what
we've had some very good.
And these are in no means in any order from the videos I've been playing. But anyways, let's go.
Calls today with Russia and with Ukraine. They've agreed for a ceasefire if we can get it with Russia, and it's not easy. It's a tough one, but I think we're doing it. And as the Secretary General said yesterday of NATO, a terrific guy, he said without Trump, we wouldn't be talking about it. It would just go on for years, and millions of people have been killed, but millions more people would be killed. And he said it was a great honor. Without me, it would just keep going on. We're looking for the ceasefire now with Russia, and we've had some very good talks about it. We've had some very good responses. And I can tell you that there was a case where there would have been no war if I were president, and it's just 100% would not have happened, would never have happened. I used to speak to President Putin a lot about it. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I won't tell you what the consequence was. I won't tell you what he's, but if he believed even 5% of what I said, then he would say, I'm not going to do it. And I think he did. But we had a good relationship, and we had a professional relationship, and his respect for this country. And I think we've had some very good results. So, you know, I haven't been able to say that to anybody else. I haven't wanted to say it until just before I came here. I got some pretty good news. So, but we have to see what happens. It's still a long way to go. The fighting is unbelievable. Russia has a large group of Ukrainian soldiers, as we speak, surrounded and in grave danger. They've been able to surround them. They're in grave danger. Biden should have never let this war happen. First of all, you don't want to pick on somebody that's a lot larger than you, even with the money. There's a lot of money that we gave them and a lot of equipment. We make the best military equipment in the world, but even with all of that, it's unbelievable. Right now, you have a lot of Ukrainian soldiers that are encircled and in grave danger, and I've asked them not to kill those soldiers, please, not to kill those soldiers. We don't want them killed. It's such a shame to see what's happened.
And if you all are aware, he's speaking on the fact that Russia, I believe, a couple of days ago, or I forget exactly when, might have been last week or whatnot, but Russia, I guess, had a exercise or a full blown assault, and they retook over. I forgot to say the kiosk or I don't know how to say that region, but they took one of the regions back over. You know, they had a forward movement and they surrounded pretty much a lot of Ukrainian soldiers. And I think it's anywhere between 3 to 5,000 soldiers, or maybe 2 to 5, or maybe more. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll check that out to figure that out. But anyways, that's what he's speaking on. So hopefully, as we all, that gets situated. The wrong slide. Yeah, we're probably going to let it go for a little bit longer. Standby mode, that is. Maybe do it for like another 30 minutes. Hopefully something pops up before then. But we'll be back in standby mode. But before I go, again, this is Be Well Informed. You are looking at Infosode 9 Alpha. You can check out the link to the Infosode portal for this particular Infosode 9 Alpha. Not every Infosode video will have a particular portal, at least not at the moment. We will have one for each video when we get the new platform developed and finished, worked out. We have some exciting news and exciting things. Right now, it's just kind of low. We do a video every once in a while. Still working out the kinks and trying to figure out exactly how we want to have the full platform, the videos. We actually got an application that we're developing. It's on a blockchain. So what I tend to eventually do is whenever I get like a video from a source that is not a that's more of like an independent news source, we're going to try to link the blockchain token that we're using to that particular source to try to give them some funds for using their video for our particular infosode. So it'd be like a stashed away fund for whenever they create an account for that blockchain on that application, they can just receive their funds from the videos that we used. Um, and we'll just come up with some, arbitrary number, whatever we think is, reasonable enough for using people's videos. I know it's fair use, but yeah, just want to get back to those videos that we used. That's probably going to be about maybe like another month before that's even a thing. But nonetheless, or maybe sooner if we get some big movement on that particular. It's not just that function, but there's a lot of other things going on in the back end. I don't really want to give too much on that right now, but all I have to say is live, LIVE, is what we'll be using as far as our, I guess you could say, method for all this to work. It's like the token in a sense. But anyways, we're gonna go in standby mode. I hope my all agents of info will just be on standby. And when we get any new info, we will be back. We don't have any extra videos to show, so that was the last one. Just had 3 for the day. And so whenever I come back from standby, we will do a quick rundown, see again if there's any new news. If not, we might take a quick break, another standby. But we're looking at 30 minutes before I come back again or more. But anyways, standby. And we are back. I'm probably going to end it probably within the next 15 minutes. We're going to go do another quick break. We're going to be right back though, so we'll go to the spinning world. But so at the moment though, it seems as if Putin wants some conditions. He doesn't just want a ceasefire; he wants a actual deal for the war to end, and he wants it to actually all be done in one. So he doesn't want to have a ceasefire and then wait 30 days or whatever to try to get a deal. He wants it all done now. So we'll see how that goes. And so we'll wait a little longer. Um, I'll probably bring up an article from BBC and check that out. But till then, we'll be right back. And we are back from the quick walk away. So yeah, it seems we're probably going to end it here, and we'll be on the lookout. But we're going to check out this BBC story real quick. It's from yesterday, at least the one we're about to look at. Just what I was just talking about, and it's probably still the same thing now as to why we haven't heard much on the ceasefire. But I'm sure there's probably been some movement, some different particular, not conditions, but what Russia or Ukraine is probably wanting. They might have, who knows. Um, change their original position or whatnot. But nonetheless, what we do know, or at least seems like, is um, Putin's conditions for the ceasefire. Obviously, Ukraine have already agreed to theirs, so I don't think they'll be changing theirs. Um, Putin has said he agrees with the idea of a ceasefire in Ukraine, but that questions remain. Out of the nature of a truce, as he said, out a number of tough conditions for peace, the Russian president was responding to a plan for a 30-day ceasefire, which Ukraine agreed to earlier this week, following talks with the U.S. So it was this week. What's going on? This page is. And my computer's going really slow. I need to reboot it, but it looks like it's. I got all these ads. That's what's going on here. Gosh dang it! I clicked X. Okay, this web page is not okay. Let's have to click on. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described Putin's response to the plan as manipulative and called for more sanctions on Russia, which we all know Trump said he was willing to put some crazy sanctions on Russia if things don't go, if things get hectic. You know how Trump gonna do with those sanctions and type of terrorists and stuff. I would assume. Meanwhile, the U.S. placed further sanctions on Russian oil, gas, and banking sectors, as we note right there. Russian officials said Putin was expected to hold talks on the ceasefire on Thursday evening with U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff, who had flown to Moscow earlier that Tuesday. It is not clear whether the meeting actually took place on Friday. Russian state media quoted the air traffic monitor flight radar as saying the plane believed to carry Witkoff had left Moscow. Moscow and Washington have not commented on the issue. And as we saw earlier, he did meet. He was waiting for a while because Putin actually had um, uh, Lukashenko from Belarus that came by. So they're saying they know if that's planned or if Putin is just trying to flex a muscle by having the U.S. You know, personnel wait. So he had to wait all day pretty much. I think they said for like 7-8 hours before he was able to, speak and talk. And he wasn't there for that long after. But anyways, late on Thursday and overnight, both Russia and Ukraine reported new enemy drone attacks. Ukraine said 7 people, including children, were injured in the northeastern city of Kharkiv. Russia reported a large firm at an oil facility in the southern city of Tuapse. Speaking at a news conference in Moscow on Thursday, Putin said of the ceasefire proposal, "The idea is right, and we support it, but there are questions that we need to discuss. A ceasefire should lead to an enduring peace, remove the root cause of this crisis," Putin said. "We need to negotiate with our American colleagues and partners," he said. "Maybe I'll have a call with Donald Trump," Putin added. "It would be good for the Ukrainian side to achieve a 30-day ceasefire. We are in favor of it, but there are nuances. One of the areas of contention is Russia's western Kursk region," Putin said, where Ukraine launched a military incursion last August and captured some territory. He claimed Russia was fully back in control of Kursk and said Ukrainian troops there have been isolated. As we all know earlier, we reported this from one of the videos we watched, and yeah, they have him surrounded, and Trump is wanting Putin to spare their lives. And Putin said he's willing to do that, of course. He says, but they will have to surrender their arms and, and whatnot. But anyways, there are 2 options for Ukrainian Kursk: surrender or die. Well, there you have it. Ukrainian's top commander, Alexander Sersky, said a day earlier that Ukrainian troops would hold defensive positions in the Kursk region as long as it is expedient and necessary despite increased pressure from Russian forces. At Thursday's press conference, Putin also outlined some of his questions over how a ceasefire would work. He asked, how would those 30 days be used? For Ukraine to mobilize, rearm, train people, or none of that? Then a question, how would that be controlled? So we're going to go to the list story. So pretty much that's what it is. Looks like he wants to make sure it is a full uh, negotiated not treaty, but peace deal, not just a ceasefire. Who will give the order to end the fighting? At what cost? Who decides who has broken any possible ceasefire over 2,000 kilometers? All those questions need meticulous work from both sides. Who polices it? Putin doesn't say no directly, Zelensky said in a nightly video address, but in practice, he's preparing a rejection. He added, Putin, of course, is afraid to tell President Trump directly what he wants to continue this war, that he wants to continue this war with you, and wants to kill Ukrainians. The Russian leader has set so many preconditions that nothing worked out at all. After Putin's remarks and Zelensky's response, there is now a clear divide between both positions. Ukraine wants a two-stage process, a quick ceasefire, and then talks about a longer-term settlement. Russia believes you cannot separate the two processes, and all the issues should be decided in a single deal. Both sides seem content to argue the differences. Ukraine believes it can put pressure on Russia, painting it as a reluctant peacemaker playing for time. Russia equally believes it has a chance now to raise its fundamental concerns about NATO expansion and Ukraine's sovereignty. But this presents a problem for Donald Trump. He has made it clear he wants a quick result, ending the fighting in days. This was yesterday, so days is days, people. That means today or tomorrow. And right now, Putin does not appear to want to play ball. So the BBC has been speaking to people in Kyiv to find out whether people in Ukrainian capital believe a ceasefire deal could be a step towards ending the war with Russia, and just going over that they agreed. But yeah, so people, that's how we have it. We will I'll, ha- I'll we'll see about that. But anyways, we're going to end it right here. We was hoping we have it today, the ceasefire. Watch, as soon as I stop this, they're going to announce ceasefire deal. So we'll probably have this running for another 10 minutes, and then we'll just close it. We're going back to standby mode, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this one. No ceasefire as of now. If there is something, trust me, we'll have that Infosode 9A1 or whatever. Or probably just continue this. We'll see. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. It was a good, lengthy one. We was hoping to get something. We got nothing as far as ceasefire. So we'll continue with the next one. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, agents of info, we are out.